welcome to the Geeking Poetic podcast channel.
On this channel, we have shows and segments that contain adult humor,
bad language, dirty jokes,
and other stuff that is strictly for mature audiences only.
So if you're too young or too sensitive for this kind of material, then please do not watch our channel or our videos.
This channel is not for you.
Thanks much.
And now, on with the show! About to fall over.
Welcome, everybody, to the latest episode of Geeking Poetic Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Larry Roberts. Down the hall, around the corner, waiting there with a cigarette in his mouth, ready to knock your ass out and take your lunch money, is none other than the badass
Vito Marchese, but I do not have a cigarette in my mouth because I don't smoke. Because the last time I tried, I got an ear infection, and it didn't go so well.
Really?
Yeah.
Not so badass. I take it back.
Take it all back.
And then we've got short but violent over here with her brass knuckles and ready to stab me with this little screwdriver thing that Vito mistakenly left sitting in front of her. Never leave weapons in front of her, you know, especially when I'm talking, because she will inevitably try to use it on me.
That's true. Megan, guess.
Yep. What are we here to talk about today?
Action heroes.
Action heroes.
The heroes of action.
We've talked about some of these people in the past, you know, because we've done like Arnold Schwarzenegger retrospective, we've done Harrison Ford retrospective, and we've talked about some of these movies that have featured some of these people, but we just thought, for a few reasons. One, because regardless of the negative attention it's received lately, the month of November started off the right way with the new Terminator Dark Fate movie.
Fuck yeah.
That Vito has already gone to see at least twice.
Yes.
Only twice so far? Okay.
Yeah, I've been busy. I was planning on going like every day this week, but unfortunately...
Didn't work out yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, we just kind of thought, man, November would be like the perfect month to just like talk about action movies, because that's the one thing, or one of the things that all three of us have in common, is that we do love action movies. And I put out a thing online and I asked a bunch of you, like, if you had to pick your top 3 favorite action heroes, who would they be? We had a lot of great responses. I mean, we got a lot of feedback on this one. It was really interesting to me to see what people chose as their top 3. I mean, because...
Or didn't choose.
Or didn't choose, yeah.
Right, exactly, because I know some of my favorites didn't even get a vote.
One of mine didn't either.
Yeah,
That's nuts.
Not even a vote, man. So we thought we would like to talk about what you all chose and decided to mention, and then we're going to springboard off of that. We'll talk about what we think of those, if we agree with you, if we don't agree, and definitely going to be talking about some of the ones that didn't get mentioned, because I think they need
to be.
Yeah. Looking at the list, I've gone ahead and just written everybody down that was mentioned. It's probably no huge surprise to anybody. The number one highest voted action hero star is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Duh.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with that. When I was like working on my list, like, he has so many freaking great movies.
Yeah.
He's just the quintessential guy. I mean, I know...
You see action hero, you think Arnie.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we did the Arnold Schwarzenegger retrospective last year. Does it seem a little bit surprising given all the different names? Because when you look at this list, you're like, oh shit, man, yeah, there's some like big names on here. Does it seem a little surprising that even for like today's generation that people still...
Love Arnie.
Yeah, regard him as being like the number one guy? Because, I mean, he hasn't done anything in the genre lately that's been highly regarded by anybody.
Yeah, but he has so many blockbusters under his belt that everybody's got to see, no matter
I'd
what
be
your
interested,
age.
like, what the age demographic was that commented on that.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah,
I
that's a
mean,
good point.
I know that most of the people, I'd say they were between the ages of like early 20s up through like maybe like their 60s. So, I mean...
That makes total sense.
It makes more sense. Yeah, I don't know if you talk to like a 15-year-old if they would necessarily pick Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
But then again,
Maybe.
what's a fucking 15-year-old knowing about anything anyway? You know, I mean, I don't really particularly care what a 15-year-old thinks.
Hey, I knew a lot of cool shit when I was 15. Like, I knew Steven Seagal was a badass motherfucker.
Yeah, but we were way cooler then. You know, we weren't. We were major nerds.
I mean, yeah, every 15-year-old, I'm sure, at some point has to see Predator, Conan.
If they have cool
Conan,
parents,
come on.
yeah, for sure. Right.
Right. What would you guys say is the prerequisite for being like a proper action movie? Because the one thing we're going to notice when we go through this list is that it's kind of all over the place. Like there are people in here that are like your Arnold Schwarzenegger that's just sort of like is just as good with his fists and his muscles as he is with his ridiculously sized machine guns and missile launchers. You know, what do you think is like the prerequisite things that make you an action hero?
Fighting for good.
Yeah, okay.
You have to take out all the bad guys without getting shot and without reloading your weapon.
Right.
You probably need to take your shirt off and show your muscles off in the movie.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, heck yeah. I'm down for that.
See, this is why we need the female perspective on that, because I never would have thought of that, you know, but it makes sense, yeah. Maybe that's one of the things about action films like that, is that they're so successful because they throw everything into the pot that kind of will appeal to people. You know, they've got plenty of action, things getting blown up, people getting beat up, guys getting shot, all this stuff, fast cars, fast jets, bazookas, all this stuff that as kids...
Bazooka will do it.
It will. As kids, most of us boys like grow up thinking like that's all badass stuff. But then at the same time, you've got like muscular, well-built dudes,
glistening in the sun.
all that kind of stuff. There's usually some kind of like romance element to some degree, like a guy's doing this to avenge, his wife and kid being killed, or he's got to rescue somebody, some woman from, so there's some kind of thing like that. It's just stuff that can appeal. Good date night movies.
Believe it or not.
Yeah, well,
you put it that way. Okay, I can buy that.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, do all three of us think that Arnold Schwarzenegger is in our top three?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, so that's a good, because that's probably the only one that all three of us are going to...
I'm going to guess so, yeah.
Yeah, pretty close.
to put in our top three. Getting back into the list here, the two next highest ranked are kind of surprising. Again, mind you, people, we're basing this on the poll that we took. The tie is between Bruce Willis.
Heck yes.
And Jackie Chan.
What?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Well, I mean...
I don't know. I think if you put martial arts in the mix of it, you're automatically action star.
Yeah, it's just I just have, man, to me it's martial arts or action. Like, I know they're kind of in the same genre, but I have a hard time like combining them,
Well, here's the thing. I agree with you to a point. And for me, if I was making my list, people like Jackie Chan probably would not be in my list, only because I am a big martial arts fan. I'm a big martial arts movie fan. I have been since I was a kid. And I tend to automatically, rightly or wrongly, put that in a completely different category from the Commandos and the Terminators and the Matrixes and all that stuff.
To me, he's more comedian.
Well, you know him more from his comedic roles.
Right.
But the more I think about it, I don't know. I think that he's done it all. He's done comedy. He's done drama. He's done major action, roles. He's been hanging from helicopters and jets as they're taking off, and he's
and he's the one that does all those. Like, with
Arnold,
Arnold, it's a stunt
stunts.
double, but Jackie Chan, it's Jackie Chan.
Right. All's fair. He's not somebody I would have thought of because, if we were doing an episode right now about martial arts, he'd be right up there.
Yeah.
He totally at least belongs in this list, and I think he belongs closer to the top, but he wouldn't be in my top three.
No, he definitely would be my top martial arts choice.
He wouldn't be in my action hero choice. If we did a martial arts, probably though.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with that. So then the other one that I mentioned that was tied with Jackie Chan was Bruce Willis. Wait, what? Did you just make a fart noise?
I sure did.
Where's that?
Oh my
I'm
God.
stabbing you, Vito.
Oh, Megan.
Don't.
I warned you, man.
How can the star of Moonlighting be an action hero? I don't get it.
Whoa.
Okay. All right.
Whoa. Now, first of all, Moonlighting fucking ruled, man. So I don't even want to hear that.
Now you don't have a protector. Now you're on your fucking own.
Yeah.
It's not going to stop me from stabbing you now.
I'm just waiting for her
Okay,
to say,
so-
how could the star of the biggest Christmas movie
ever not
it's
be?
not a Christmas
It
movie.
is. Okay, you're getting stabbed too. It is a Christmas movie.
Fucking
I don't care
Die
what you
Hard is
say.
not a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie.
Just because it takes place at Christmas time doesn't. Oh, motherfucker. Just because it takes place at Christmas time does not make it a Christmas movie. You cannot put Die Hard in the same category as Rudolph the fucking Red-Nosed
He
Reindeer.
writes ho 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 on a sweatshirt. That's all I'm saying. It's Christmas.
But it's not. That doesn't make it a Christmas movie.
Sure as fuck does.
Oh, wow. All right. You know what? We're not going to go on
So,
for 10 minutes.
Anyway,
Yeah.
best Christmas movie ever. Die Hard. Give me that one. He's
To be fair-
action-packed. He's stopping fucking terrorists. He throws Hans Gruber off the fucking tower.
Oh, you ruined the ending of the movie for me because I never seen it, Megan. Thanks.
Shut up.
The only Die Hard I saw was the third one with Samuel L. Jackson.
Really?
Yeah.
I like that one a lot. I don't know.
No, I mean, I will debate forever about it being a Christmas movie. But that being said, Die Hard is a fucking fabulous
action.
movie. Fabulous movie.
Mhm. And then there's Armageddon.
I do like Armageddon.
Yeah.
I mean, he
I
saves
like-
the entire fucking world. What do you
Yeah.
want from an action hero?
I like them in Surrogates a lot. You guys ever see Surrogates, the sci-fi one?
No.
That's a really good one.
I loved him in The Fifth
I
Element.
was going to say The Fifth Element.
Dude,
I
really?
hate that movie.
Oh,
yeah, I don't
man.
like that movie.
Obviously, he got so many votes and people automatically think of Bruce Willis. But for me, he's not a top three. Is he a top three?
He's
for
a top 3 for me, I think.
Yeah? And he's
Or top 5.
at least?
At least
Okay.
top 5.
And Vito, he wouldn't be in your
He
top
wouldn't make
three.
my list at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Sorry.
And then for third place, we've got a few ties. Like it's tied up here. And it's cool because third place is tied up between multi-generational,
Okay.
which I thought was pretty cool. So it does show a little bit of the difference in the demographics of
Yeah.
the people we talk to. Going back to the oldest, so for third place, the first tie is Clint Eastwood. You wouldn't automatically think of Clint Eastwood as like an action
Right.
hero. But for guys like me, absolutely. Like he was the guy, back in the 70s.
I guess I just pigeonhole him into Westerns, so I don't think of him as action.
But see, that's
I mean, he's action in Westerns, but
but that's what I'm saying. But see, back then,
I guess that was your action film, right?
our action films back then, we didn't have Commando type movies. We didn't have Terminator type movies. We didn't even have, for the most of the decade, we didn't have Star Wars type movies.
Yeah.
He was that guy that is he good or is he kind of bad? He straddles that line. But he ends up killing all the bad guys in town. He's, quick draw on the gun, but nobody can bring him down kind of thing.
yeah, that's kind of something else that makes action heroes. It's like the good versus the bad. Like,
Yeah.
he
Right.
kind of straddles the line there.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, he's also Dirty Harry. So he was in, that was in the 70s. Most of the action, quote unquote, movies were police action movies. But
So would you throw John Wayne in there too?
yes, for his time back in the 50s and stuff, yeah, John Wayne would be considered the closest thing you could consider to like an action hero. There was guys like him and Henry Fonda, or these guys that were like rugged men. They were usually in a Western. They were in a World War II
Right.
movie,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. That was the action movies of the time. So anyway, getting back to the point is that for guys like myself, for a guy like Paul, us that are like getting close to 50 years old, Clint Eastwood, it's like, fuck yeah, that's like he's one of the godfathers of action heroes. The next one that ties with him, again, like I said, we're kind of going up through the years here, would be Sylvester Stallone. What? Neither one of you guys think Stallone belongs in there?
He-
Are you
No,
out of your?
he
No,
does.
he belongs
He
in the
belongs.
action star. I just don't.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he doesn't really do anything for me.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
He's been in some of the fucking best, you guys. He's my number one.
Wow.
Really?
He's my number one. I choose him over Arnold.
Wow.
Barely,
Wow.
just barely.
Yeah.
Just barely. And that's just I think Arnold is maybe a little bit more of the quintessential guy, the poster boy for it. But in terms of like my sentimentality towards it and stuff, before I ever even really knew about Arnold, like Stallone was my guy.
Yeah.
Because I grew up on the Rocky movies.
Uh-huh.
I think all the Rocky movies, at least 1 through 4, are must-sees. They're just great. Have you ever seen the Rocky movies?
I'm sure I've seen them,
Okay.
or at least bits and pieces of them.
Right. Okay. And you've seen them.
Yeah, I don't get the hype about Rocky 1, but Rocky 2 I think is the best one in the series. That movie's just filled with like good drama and stuff.
Megan.
You know?
Yes.
Vito doesn't get the hype about the first movie, but he likes the sequels. Wasn't that a shock?
I can't believe it. I'm speechless.
I can't, but Vito likes the sequels better? I mean, wow. Everybody, if you don't know at home, Vito's nickname is Sequel Man.
Yeah.
Because he loves the sequels. Whereas most other people, it's really hard to get them to be on board with the sequels. Vito is the complete contrarian on that because he loves the sequels. I mean, that whole story, that whole kind of story with the wife that doesn't want him to go fight, but he's got to do it, you know, he's got to do it for his honor, you know. And he's I can't the way with Adrian, you want me to not do this? I mean, I'm not half a man.
I don't tell you how to be a woman, just don't tell me how to be a man.
Right,
you know?
all that kind of stuff. Like that's become such a familiar trope, you know, over the years. But that was one of the first big movies to really do that, you know. I love that movie. I love Rocky IV, man.
It's one of the most 80s fucking movie ever, man. I love 4.
Like if somebody was going to go make, and they've done it, if they wanted to be like, we're going to make a movie that's kind of spoofing 80s typical hero kind of, action movie kind of thing with a fighter, they're going to ape Rocky IV.
For sure.
That's the one they're going to. Did you ever see Rocky IV?
I don't know. I have no idea.
With Dolph Lundgren, he plays the Russian guy, the Siberian Express. If he dies, he dies.
Yeah. If he dies, he dies.
It's so good, Megan.
Oh, man.
Rocky has to
That
go
may have been when I've seen bits and pieces.
Rocky has to go to Russia to fight him at the end, and he's got like train in Russia and stuff.
Okay.
He's like running through the snow.
Right.
And like
He's
Dolph has like all this high tech like science fiction like stuff he's like working out on, but Rocky's fucking pulling oxen and shit. It's so good.
It introduces us to Bridget Nielsen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's in this. She plays Dolph's girlfriend, wife, whatever she is, shooting him up with steroids.
Yeah.
It was such a fucking prop. You people want to talk about movies with political agendas. Holy shit. Rocky IV is nothing but, and the big speech at the, that's the only part where I'm like, I'm out of here, you know.
The two of us are in here killing each other. And if we kill each other in here, then that means we're going to kill each other out there or whatever.
And if I could change, you could change. We all can change. Yeah. And all these people in Russia are like, yeah. And you're like, oh my. I remember going to see that with my dad. I remember going to see
that went well.
I went to see with my dad, and my dad was like, all right, we're leaving. He's like, okay, I was enjoying this movie up until this point because this is a bunch of bullshit. He's done a lot of really great stuff, and he inspired a lot of people. So for me, he's in my top 3. He's number 1, man. Schwarzenegger's like 1.5. We'll say.
Yeah.
I can't even put him number 2. He's 1.5. They're almost like yin and yang, you know, those two. But not for you guys.
Mm-mm.
Not really. I mean, he belongs in the list, but
Yeah,
he's
I
not
just-
one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's just I never got into him for whatever reason.
Yeah. Same here.
All right. Well, okay. So then moving on, then the next one that was tied for 3rd is, and we've talked about him plenty, Harrison Ford.
Yay.
Now, would Harrison Ford be in any of your top 3?
I don't think he's in my top 3.
No, not for me.
Now, why is that?
I don't know. For me, he's like more of a romantic heartthrob.
Yeah, see, it's hard because I don't see him as like a pure action hero. Like he does so
Right,
much
he's so
stuff
much other
that's
yeah.
you know.
I guess if he did more action,
Yeah.
other than like Indiana Jones or Air Force One, even.
Yeah.
But
Fuck.
yeah, I mean, he
I
definitely
see,
belongs in the
it's
list.
a
He
thing.
belongs in the list, but I don't.
That's the problem, is that it's one of, I agree with you completely, Meg, is that I don't automatically think of Harrison Ford as an action hero. I don't. I think of him, I'm like, he's a dramatic actor.
Mhm.
Who happens to do punches and stuff sometimes.
Happens to do. But then, when I think about the movies he's been in and the roles he's played, then I go, oh, wait a minute. I mean, he's fucking Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, one of the action heroes of all time.
One of my
Since
favorite movies,
exactly.
but he doesn't make my list.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird how that works?
Mhm.
I mean, that's why it's kind of interesting to talk about this, because it's like it's not so clear cut, you know?
Yeah, I guess he does that good versus evil.
Mm-hmm.
He really does qualify for that. It's just, I don't know. Maybe because he's so much more known for all those other kind of roles that have nothing to do with that,
Mhm.
that he just doesn't jump out to me as being, he wouldn't even be in my top 5.
Yeah, I don't think he would be in mine either.
Probably not. No.
Then moving on again, because like I said, it's funny how third place was all the generational ones. Now we get into the 90s and stuff. And the next tie for third was Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, I guess he makes the list. Again, he wouldn't be one that jumps out at me.
Not in the early 90s for sure. I mean, he was more of a comedian back then, you know?
Well, I mean, he was known for like his sillier roles and stuff, but he was in things like, what was it, like Point Break, Johnny Mnemonic.
Yeah. Man, I love Johnny Mnemonic.
Yeah,
And
I'm not for sure if I've seen any Keanu Reeves movies, actually.
wait.
The Matrix?
No, I've never
Bill
seen
and
The Matrix.
Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Wait.
All right, I'll give you Bill and
Hold
Ted.
on. Wait.
But that's not an action hero to me.
Hang on. Needle has just been pulled off the record. She hasn't seen hardly any, or doesn't know if she's seen any Keanu Reeves movies, and she's never seen The Matrix.
No. I know. We're going to have to fix that.
Wow. Okay.
Man, yeah. Especially The Matrix.
I
Fuck.
mean, okay, so here's the thing.
Yeah, because I think Keanu Reeves, I think Matrix, but I've never seen them, so he wouldn't make my list.
See, I see him more of an
yeah.
action star now because of the John Wick series. Because
Yeah.
that's just pure action.
Yeah, I
You
want
know.
to see that. Again, I haven't seen any of those either.
Those are really
I
good.
hear they're really excellent.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves would make my list, even just alone on the whole Matrix thing, because he sort of introduced a whole new era, a whole new genre and style of action hero. Faster, hybrid of like martial arts plus like
Gunplay.
gunplay
stuff
and then like tech savvy and smart, and you know what I mean, like almost kind of like a guy that straddles the line between James Bond and Han Solo and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Predator or
Yeah,
Terminator.
yeah.
And he kind of made this new amalgamation of it that now I think we've seen so many other action heroes come along that I don't think would be cast the way they are or be who they are if it wasn't for Keanu Reeves and what he created.
Most importantly, does it take his shirt off?
It's not in a glamorous, sexy way, though. He's covered in like this pink gelatin stuff. It's flushed down
If you're into that sort of
toilet,
thing.
Yes, yeah, but
All right. I guess,
Yeah,
we'll give
yeah.
him that.
Well, and that's the other thing, is that he's almost kind of like the more, he kind of introduced like the sensitive action hero in
Yeah,
a way, you
it's
know,
true.
because Neo is not a meathead at all, like Stallone or even
wow, this
Bruce.
guy's mysterious and sexy.
Like he's got that sensitive kind of
Oh, I
side.
see.
He's got a
it's-
sensitive side to him, you know, and everything. But he's still like super fucking badass,
Yeah,
you know.
it's-
Like he'll get super violent, super quick. He'll still punch the fuck out of you and shoot the fuck out of you. But then it's like he's not the kind of guy that's gonna like manhandle his woman, you know, like come here, baby. He's gonna be he's gonna be more like, you know, like I did this all for you.
Let me
you know?
pull out your chair for you before we start.
Right. Yeah, he's the more gentlemanly. And that's where I said he's almost more like a guy, harkens back to the spy kind of hero
Okay.
kind of thing, like a James Bond sort of thing or something like that. So for me, Keanu Reeves totally belongs on here, and I don't know if he'd be in a top 3 for me, but he'd probably be in top 5. And that's without even seeing John Wick. And just what little I've seen of it and when I know of it, John Wick alone is probably enough to kick him up into the top 3.
Yeah, I have a feeling if I saw John Wick, he'd be in there.
It's so good.
Yeah, I need to
I've
get on
never
that.
seen or heard anybody say
A bad thing.
they were anything less than
Not only the
good.
action, but like the world building of like
Right.
this underground like assassin stuff they have is just excellent, man. It's so good.
Now moving on to probably what I would say would then be the new Millennium hero. The last of the tie for third place is Jason Statham.
Yeah, from what I've seen of him, again, I haven't seen hardly any of his, but what I've seen, he's a fucking badass.
Yeah.
He sure as fuck is.
Yeah, I definitely want to see more of him.
And I think
He definitely belongs on the list.
Yeah. And I think he's a perfect example of the modern day action hero guy. It's like this more kind of street rugged, where it's more about like, he's got to have like the shaved head, kind of have a little bit of a rugged voice, kind of like
British.
that. Yeah, yes, yeah, because like British or Irish has become the new,
yeah, for sure.
the Conor McGregor kind of thing and all that. He's got to drive like really expensive, badass cars, be quick on the draw with a knife and a gun.
He's like a fit dude, but he's not like pumped, jacked up kind
Right.
of dude.
It's that MMA fit.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. That's what I'm saying. Like a guy like that would not have been the top action hero back in 1989.
Right.
It had to be a Stallone. It had to be a Schwarzenegger, a
Yeah.
Dolph Lundgren,
Right.
something like that. This totally exemplifies, Statham exemplifies the new millennium action hero. That's the new action heroes,
Intense.
Yeah.
I think, are about intensity,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I totally get it. I wouldn't put him, because I'm not familiar enough and because I'm too old, I wouldn't put him in my top 3. He'd be in a top 10 maybe, but not top 3. And I think you guys,
He'd be in a top 10 for sure for me.
yeah.
Yeah, top 10 easily. Again, I'm not as familiar with him, but the more I see, he'd go up.
Mhm.
All right. So, I mean, so those were the ones you guys ended up picking for being the top 3, because it's what I asked. What would your top 3 action heroes be? But we've got a whole bunch of other ones that got various amounts of votes and stuff like that. And some of them, man, I'm surprised they got mentioned, and some of them I'm surprised they got mentioned, but not enough. I mean, one of them that didn't get a whole lot of mentions, and I know Meg's going to have something to say about this, is Jean-Claude Van Damme.
He's in my top 3.
Yeah. Is he your number 1, or is that Schwarzenegger?
I think I'm going to have to go with Schwarzenegger's 1.
Right.
He may be number 3.
Number 3?
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. Yeah.
Now, you grew up
Yeah,
a fan, right?
Yeah, I grew up a fan. I remember like preteen and stuff like that. I go to the movie store and
Uh-huh.
rent one of his movies every week
Right.
because I just enjoyed it. He's got a oiled up, sexy body, fighting in the ring, do those fucking splits.
Oh, boy. She likes
And
them
there's-
flexible, apparently.
Yeah, like flexible and oiled up. Anyway,
Megan's gonna take a break.
It's like, hi,
I'm
Mom. Right? Say hi to Mom.
hi, Mom.
I know you're listening.
She's with me.
She's going to
She's
agree.
with me.
Yeah.
She watched them with me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know. I always like the stories where he'd like go off and kind of do his own thing, but he'd end up fighting for love or for family or for revenge for one of his loved ones.
Yeah.
He was fiercely loyal, and he always ended up doing something for the good. Like again, the whole trope of like
Mhm.
I gotta go fight. What do you mean you don't want me to fight? I need to fight. I have to prove something now.
Right.
So
The blood sport thing. Yeah.
yeah, Bloodsport was one of my favorites. Lionheart's one of my favorites.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are probably the 2 that come to mind of my favorites.
What about you? What's some of your favorite? Because I know he wouldn't be top 3 for you, right?
No, but I love Time Cop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Hard Target.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Sudden Death was real good. I just watched that like a couple months ago for the first time.
God, I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, it was like a hockey game one. It was
Yeah, yeah.
really good, man.
He does kind of have that, especially for the 90s. He has sort of that romance novel looks to him.
Yeah.
Like he might have shorter hair than most of the romance novel guys on the painted on the cover would
what's
be.
the
but-
guy that got hit in the face?
Fabio.
Fabio, yeah. He's like,
Still one of the greatest stories I've ever seen, dude. Him getting hit in the face like that. It's so
Right,
amazing.
yeah. The story, if people don't know, is that he was riding in the front car on a roller coaster. Fabio was, and a bird, like a rogue bird, flew into his face.
That bird knew what he was doing, dude. He wasn't going rogue. He knew what he was doing.
That bird saw him and was like, "Fucking
Kamikaze.
Fabio, fucking Fabio. I'm gonna show him. This is pretty boy, good looks. Watch this, broken nose."
Fucking amazing, dude.
Poor bird.
That's some fucking like computer simulation thing right there, man. Think of that.
Oh man, but yeah. So that's
yeah,
only your
I
number
would,
3.
Yeah, I would choose him because I grew up on him.
Right.
I remember going and getting his movies every week.
Yeah.
It's like, I need another one. I need another one. I need another one.
Another person that I'm really stunned, he got votes, but not nearly as much as I thought he would be none other than Vito's old boy, Steven Seagal.
Dude, yeah, that surprises me that he's that low on the list. Man.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Probably because he hasn't done much mainstream lately in the past 20 years. He's always like now direct to video, and he's become like a parody of himself. That's that's a big issue. But dude, he's still a badass motherfucker, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the newer movies are like, yeah, they're pretty terrible, but
Well, do you think they're terrible? Because I watched some. I watched some before when we were doing research for like our teasers and stuff like that, and I watched some of it, and I'm like, okay, they're not terrible. They're just all like, oh, we've seen this movie before. You know, there's nothing new to it. You know,
it's
just telling
basically,
the same
hey, we
story.
got Steven Seagal's name. Let's get him in here to film for 3 days, and then we'll make a movie around that. And
Right.
to me, that's what they are.
Right, I
okay.
get
So-
that. I get that, but I don't think they're terrible. I just don't think they're not up to.
His
snuff.
first 4 movies, dude, are like some of the most quintessential action films you guys need to see. Like, hands down.
And what are those?
So it's Above the Law,
Yep.
Hard to Kill,
Yep.
Mark for Death,
Yep.
and Out for Justice.
Okay.
Okay.
Now,
I don't
Under
think I've seen
Siege,
any of those.
Under Siege
Under
as
Siege,
well.
yep.
Okay, so I guess you would cut off at that 5th one, but like once you get past like number 8, then maybe it starts to dip more into like the direct-to-video market.
Okay.
Yeah.
But still, man, that run from like 1990 through like 2001 or whatever, maybe 2000 is like amazing. So good.
I think I've only seen Under Siege out of all those.
Really?
Yeah, which is why he doesn't make my list, because
See, I saw Hard to Kill when I was 8 when it first came out.
And that's all she wrote for
And
Vito.
I saw Mark for Death in the theater
Yeah.
when that came out. So yeah, I've been a Seagal fan for the last 30 years, man. I mean,
So I'm putting Vito on the spot right now.
Okay.
All right. Out of those 5 movies, can you rank them for your favorite to least?
fuck. Okay, Hard to Kill.
It's number 1. Okay.
Yeah. Out for Justice is number 2.
Wow. Okay.
Under Siege is number 3.
Wow. Okay.
Probably Above the Law is 4 and Mark for Death is 5.
You're putting Mark for Death last?
Yeah, I know it's a great movie, but it's the one that I've seen the least out of those 5, even though I've seen it probably 10, 15 times. But
Is it because I never gave you your VHS tape back
no,
of
you
it?
have my no. That was Out for Justice. You still have my Out for Justice VHS.
But I
tape.
gave you your Mark for Death back, right?
I
Because
don't
I
know if
had
I-
both of them.
Did you?
And at one point I did.
Then maybe you still have Mark for Death. That's probably why I haven't seen it.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
that's your fault.
It is my fault. That's why you didn't guess. I'm like, that movie's badass. I watch it a bunch of times because I got this free videotape of it. And then Meg's just not familiar enough with
Yeah, I
him,
really don't know much about him.
right? Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah, another one I got to do my homework on.
Yeah.
Vito make for sure of it.
And he was a heartthrob back in the 90s, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, he had that like sex appeal to him because he had that ponytail going on for him. He was like a rough and tough guy, and it's good stuff.
Now, another couple people that ranked right around the same number of votes as somebody like Seagal, which I was pretty surprised to see these people get mentioned. I'm happy they got mentioned. Is Samuel L. Jackson
Okay.
and ta-da, the first female that finally made it into the list, which was Scarlett Johansson.
Okay.
I think both of them totally belong in there. Because more Scarlett than Samuel Jackson. I mean, Samuel Jackson's done some action role stuff. I mean, but I don't think of him as an action hero.
No, I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
Not instantly, anyway.
He's not. I don't know if he's a hero.
That's true.
I guess to some people they go, he's my hero, but I'm like the role he plays, he's always kind of playing more like the kind of he's questionable of whether he's really like good or bad, but he kind of gets into these situations. He's an anti-hero.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the bad guy you hate to love or whatever, it like kind of thing. Yeah, same thing with Travolta. He's done some action roles, but I would never think of him as like, oh yeah, he's an action hero.
Mm-mm.
I don't dislike seeing Samuel Jackson mentioned because I love the actor. I think he's great. I like most of his stuff I've seen him in, but he doesn't, to me, I wouldn't put him in this list.
Yeah, he wouldn't be in mine. No.
Scarlett Johansson, on the other hand, maybe doesn't have enough of a repertoire just yet, but I think the stuff she's done that's been action has been pretty badass, man. Can you think of the stuff she's been in? Because obviously
All I'm thinking is Black Widow.
Right.
That's all I'm coming up with.
Yeah,
what
me
else was
too.
she in?
She wasn't in that. Was it Alita Battle Angel or was it Ghost in the Shell?
Ghost in the Shell.
Okay.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
Is the potential there for her to be one of the all-time action heroes? Absolutely. Absolutely. She's got all the right
Equipment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep,
She's
sure.
Well, to be fair.
Vito like her shirt off.
Oh, yeah.
I was just gonna say it's just the flip side of that's like his Jean-Claude Van Damme, right?
Yep.
Like Megs be like, I want to see a Scarlett Johansson movie, watch her kick some fucking ass, and Vito's like, I just want to see her ass, So, and watch her kick ass. So everybody else that got mentioned, I mean, man, it was very minimal votes. Tom Hardy.
Okay.
Now, Tom Hardy, again, yeah, I get it, but I think of him more of like as a dramatic actor, I guess. I mean, he's done action, Venom and things like that,
Okay.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Right. And I think that's the main thing that probably...
See, I know him as Shinzon from Star Trek Nemesis. Like that, to me, is Tom Hardy.
Right. But again, I don't... Not enough there to make me throw him in the list. Donnie Yen, another one where it's like martial arts, awesome. But... And then weird ones like Paul Rudd. I
love Paul Rudd.
I love Paul Rudd.
He's one of my favorite people in the entire world.
He's so great.
I just finished watching Living with Yourself. On
I heard that
Netflix.
was really good.
It's pretty cute. It's interesting.
I mean,
I don't think I'd put him action star.
No, he's not. To me, he's not an action star. Another one that's kind of on that, although this guy does have a little bit more to his credit for it, would be Chris Pratt.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
But see, I see him more on the Paul Rudd side, where like he's a comedian who does like some action stuff.
Yeah, I think I want to see like Scarlett Johansson. I need to see more variety.
Right, because
to make him in that list.
Him in the Jurassic films is great.
Oh yeah,
great,
absolutely.
In those, great in the Jurassic films, and quite heroic and everything. Yeah. And him as Star-Lord, I know Vito, you're still warming up to that, but I mean. For the rest of us, like I think he's good in that, but even then he's still more comedic, He's not the big hero guy in those movies. So
he's a hero, but he's not really kicking ass and taking names as much.
No, exactly. So I love Chris Pratt. I wouldn't put him in this list. Other ones like Liam Neeson. Now Liam Neeson's a badass dude.
It's funny because those guys like they got the more action star stuff like late in life where you wouldn't think they'd be an action star in their 70s or whatever he is, you know?
He's not that old.
No? Okay.
No, no, he might be
I
getting
take
up
that
there,
back.
but-
He's getting up there, though, but I don't know if he's that old. But, I mean, he's another one. Has he played some badass action roles, a couple things like that, where you wouldn't want him coming after you? I'm coming after you.
Yeah, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, I don't know who you are.
I don't know what you want.
Yeah.
You're fucking dead.
But I'm going to beat you with my gigantic penis. Because apparently the rumor has it that he has a very, very large member. Did you know that?
Nope, top 3. Changed my mind.
Liam Neeson, you're up there.
Megan's subgenre list is like, okay.
I have a new criteria.
Yeah, well, anyway. So, again, kind of keeping on that tip is, no pun intended, is Robert Downey Jr. Again, dramatic actor.
Yeah.
Wonderful dramatic actor. He's in some of my favorite movies. Yeah, okay. Iron Man helps. Sherlock Holmes helps. Love him as an actor, not an action hero. Sorry. He's done Iron Man and Holmes, but he's not an action hero. A lot of these guys that played the superhero characters, I don't consider them action heroes, right?
No, they wouldn't be in my top of my
No.
forefront of my brain at all.
I mean, I know that those are some of like the most action hero. They're heroes. They're superheroes.
They're
and there's
literally
ton
heroes.
Of,
But...
there are tons of action, but those are not what I think of when I think of action heroes like we're talking about. And then, of course, I'm not surprised this is mentioned, and I get it. And he's probably the closest one that could qualify for this, but he's just, again, not done enough. It'd be Chris Hemsworth, Thor.
Thor, yeah.
I mean, he's
I don't know what else he's been in.
He's been in a bunch of stuff.
Was
but
he in Cabin in the Woods, that horror meta horror film?
Yeah, Men in Black
Okay.
International.
Oh, Men in Black.
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I haven't
I
either.
did.
Yeah?
Yeah, I watched it. Paul had it on Plex.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, Chris Hemsworth is the kind of guy that he's got the build, he's got the rugged good looks, and he's funny, and he can be serious and dramatic. Like, he's got it all. He doesn't have enough of a repertoire.
Right.
He's
on the right path, maybe.
He is on the right path, and I could totally
potentially get there.
I could totally see him doing more of these kind of
Absolutely.
things.
I hope so.
Christopher Judge from Stargate.
Good old Teal'c.
Yeah, great, but again, not top
and
10
even
worthy.
Yeah, and even then, it's more of a dramatic role and a comedic role later on in the series as well.
Right.
And he's another guy, like, I don't know him from other stuff besides Stargate SG-1 and Mega Shark vs. Mecha Shark. Like, that's really...
And if anybody's going to know him from those roles, it's Vito.
And I'm telling you guys, Mega Shark vs. Mecha Shark is the best Mega Shark movie that Sci-Fi Channel did produce. I will give them to that.
Wow.
I mean, that was really good.
Yeah,
it was actually like a legit good movie.
Meg's got a look on her face like fucking kill me now.
Why are we talking about Mega Shark? Never seen them.
Oh my God, you're missing out.
I don't think I am.
There was a bunch of females that were mentioned that only got a couple of mentions, unfortunately. And it would be actresses like Ming-Na Wen.
Oh, she's awesome.
Yeah, she is awesome. Summer Glau,
Summer Glau.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, I mean, quite the crush on Summer.
Okay.
She played the female Terminator in the Sarah Connor Chronicles. She was in Firefly or Serenity, one of those.
All right. You know what? I forgot about Sarah Connor Chronicles. Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Motherfuckers, why would they come up with that title? So, yeah, she's great in it. Okay. I wasn't even thinking about that, too. That alone, oh, yeah. She would at least be in a top 10 of, like, at least of the female action stars, if not, not enough to put her in an overall top 10, kind of like these other people like Chris Hemsworth and stuff. But yeah, she's on the right path. People mention some odd things. Again, going back generation things, talk about like Jane Fonda and Barbarella. But
every time I hear Barbarella, I think of Barbed Wired with Pamela Anderson for some reason.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, because Barbarella started that, kind of she was the trendsetter for that. Yeah. So, people mention things like Diana Riggs from the old Avengers series and stuff from not the superheroes Avengers, but the British BBC Avengers. I mean, that would be like me. I would want to put Linda Carter on here You know, because to me, she's one of the, you know, for me personally, her as Wonder Woman in the 70s was like.
Yeah. I was thinking the chick off of the redhead off of Doctor Who.
Ooh.
Oh, Karen Gillan.
Oh,
Karen
yeah.
Gillan.
Oh, man. Yeah, me and Vito will put her on our list.
I'll put her on a list for sure. I don't know if it's going to be an action star list, but it's a
Well,
list.
because you haven't watched Doctor Who.
Yeah, that's true.
Truth be told, out of her, Doctor Who, and Rory, she was kind of the most badass of the three. Like, she was the most like, the others would be like, you know, oh, I don't know, we should think about it. And she would just, boom, kick the door down, kind of like, I'm going to kick some ass now. So.
You guys stay behind. I'm going on.
And then her, of course, in the Marvel movies and stuff, you know, yeah, she's, again, it's another one of these things. There are a lot of these that I think they have potential.
They're on the right track.
They're on the
keep
right
going.
track, but they haven't made the list yet. Somebody that got one vote, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Really?
That's like the last 15, 20 years of action stars. You would think the fucking Rock. Man.
Him and Jason Statham, man.
Yeah.
The Rock is like this generation's Arnold Schwarzenegger, if you think
Absolutely.
about it.
He is,
Right?
yeah.
And he's
Really?
versatile.
Yeah.
He's funny. He's dramatic. He's action badass. He's, you know, all those things. How the fuck are you people not ranking him more? Because
I
he's
don't know. To
easily
me-
in my top 10. Easily.
Okay, the Mummy. He's the bad guy. He's not a hero.
But
He's
then
not an
he
action
becomes
hero.
one in Scorpion King in the offshoot. He's the hero in that.
It's fucking Scorpion King.
He's the bad guy in Doom. So
Again, he's a bad guy.
Mhm.
And like the buddy flicks and stuff, that's comedy. It's not action hero.
But he's been in other stuff too. I mean, the Furious films. He's been, you know, all these.
that tower film where the building's exploding. Or
I mean,
whatever
there's
the fuck that was.
tons. Yeah, I mean, he's been in enough action movies that where he
It
is the
warrants.
hero. And even though he was, you know, to sit there and say, well, Scorpion King was a bad guy character. Yeah, I guess you know who else was a bad guy character? Arnold Schwarzenegger is the
Terminator.
T-800 in the first Terminator movie. Boom.
Yeah,
You
I
turned it
wouldn't
around,
put Terminator as it.
Yeah. One of the ones that's going to be very controversial that he only got one or two mentions, and it goes back to something we talked about earlier, is Bruce Lee. He influenced everybody. Most of the people that are on our list that we consider to be like the dudes, you know what I mean, are going to sit there and they would probably name check Bruce Lee. I think because of his career being cut short, and because most people think of him mostly in context of martial arts, for me, it would be really hard to make like a top 10 list and not put Bruce Lee in there for me, because martial arts straddles that line for me so much, and I know how influential he is. Have you ever even seen a Bruce Lee movie, Meg?
I think I've seen bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And that's why he wouldn't make my list.
I mean, Vito, have you seen much Bruce Lee stuff?
Just bits and pieces like Megan. Yeah.
I think that's the case for most people.
It's more, I've seen the films that were influenced by him and the guys that were influenced by him.
Or
you
you've
know,
seen
and-
like specials and documentaries over
Yeah.
the years that feature things about
Right.
him. And yeah, exactly. Nobody mentioned, not one person, not one of y'all mentioned Chuck Norris.
That's my number 2 right there.
Yeah, that's Megan's number 2 you people didn't even vote for.
So depressed now.
You guys not ever seen Walker, Texas Ranger, for
Yeah.
Christ's sake?
I just learned that Walker Texas Ranger is based on Lone Wolf McQuade.
Yes.
And then I started reading, I was like, oh my God, it is the same thing.
Now, why would you put him number 2 like above Van Damme?
I don't know. You think badass. I mean, he fucking has a fist in his beard and shit. I mean, there's all these memes. Everybody knows Chuck Norris and his high kick and stuff like that. Fucking love Walker Texas Ranger. That was like a weekly. I was like,
it's-
I'm watching Walker Texas
Mhm.
Ranger. It's happening. But,
Right.
and
Well,
he
being
was
that
just
you
missing
live...
in action.
Right, yeah,
Mhm.
right. Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, he's
the
again.
Delta Force and all
Delta
that.
Delta
Force.
Force, man, yeah.
Yeah.
The Hitman. The cover of the Hitman where he's got that vest with his chest hanging out. He's got those two like
Yep.
double shotgun
yeah,
things.
yeah. Dude.
Yeah. He's
No,
got
you're-
his shirt off half the time.
Yeah.
He's sweaty and going
Wow.
and saving the day.
Here we go again.
Megan likes the shirtless, sweaty, or oiled up men. I mean, that's her thing. So
My thing.
Yeah. Plus, being a young girl that lived in the South, that lived just above Texas and everything, living in Oklahoma, I can see that being like the kind of
my shit.
Super,
She's just waiting for him to ride up on a horse to carry her away and stuff.
Let's get on out of here, little girl.
Yeah, I was very excited. I was like, wait, are Texas Rangers real?
They ain't like that.
Well, a girl can dream.
Yeah.
They're just overweight sheriffs if they have a Texas Ranger named.
With a drinking problem and a bad attitude.
Yeah.
And just like, I can't wait to
Smoking too
retire.
much and shit.
Right. I'm just doing this till I can retire. And then I'm moving to Florida. He'd be in my top 10.
I wonder if it's because, again, he hasn't done much really mainstream,
Recently,
if
I
in
guess.
anything. I don't even know the last thing
I think
he was
that's
in.
I think that's part of it, and I think part of it kind of goes with what you were saying about Seagal, about people thinking he's a parody.
Yeah, okay.
Not take like at once upon a time, like he was taken real fucking seriously, and then he became kind of a joke to even where when he appeared in The Expendables, they sort of were lampooning his past, which was great. But I think that plays into it a lot.
Sorry, I'm still thinking about Chuck Norris and blue jeans and cowboy boots.
Wow. All right, well, moving on from there. And then the other one that I would contemplate making in my top 3, the guy that really exemplified the old school, perfect walking the line of all the different kinds of things that make up an all-around action hero is Sean Connery.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Connery was the original 007 James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
He was a complete badass in that. He could beat some ass. He was good. He had all sorts of cool weapons and stuff like that. He always got the women. Women at the time were very much into Sean. He was a major sex symbol back in the 60s. Like women were, always wanted to see him. He'd, be in those movies in his little Speedos and stuff, and, his big barrel manly chest, hairy chest kind of thing and all that. He had the accent, which women loved. And he did all that. Then he got into the 70s and he appeared in some rather questionable movies like Zandos.
Yes.
Zandos. Oh my God. I'll try to find a picture of him in Zandos. I don't even know how to explain.
That's when he's wearing like cowboy boots and that X pattern, like
not even he's wearing like thigh high boots and like Speedo type trunks, and then like an X. It's because it's supposed to be set in like a futuristic, like it's almost like a Barbarella-y kind of, some weird sort of futuristic desert planet kind of action movie. It was the 70s, man. But he's great in it. It's like it's perfect. It's awesome. Then you get into the 80s and he's in things like Highlander and stuff. And he's don't make that fucking face. Highlander is amazing.
TV show was for sure.
And him as Ramirez, he was so good in that. And then getting into like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Okay. Yep.
When he became that kind of like that later elder, he's still kicking ass.
The Rock.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him as the elder Dr. Jones, from Last Crusade.
One
and
of his
everything.
best roles, in my opinion.
Love that.
And even though he's old and kind of fumbly, he's still a badass.
Fuck yeah.
So to me, he might be a top 3 for me.
Wow.
If I cheat and I put Stallone and Schwarzenegger as kind of like tied for number 1, I might have them tied for number 1, have Sean Connery as number 2 and Keanu Reeves as number 3.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. One more honorable mention I got to throw in there real quick, because we kind of mentioned him earlier off air. Wesley Snipes, man.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Wesley Snipes, I get that he kind of faded away because of all his issues and stuff he had in real life and whatnot, but for his time, man, he was a badass.
Fuck yeah, he was.
I haven't seen a whole lot of his stuff, but what I've seen, you're right, he's a badass.
And there wasn't that many like African American type of action stars like that back in like the early 90s and stuff. And
influential.
Yeah, for
trend
sure.
setting.
Oh yeah.
and deserves to be on the list. That he didn't even get mentioned.
Yeah.
Shame on you people.
Dude, Passenger 57, the Blade series. I mean, those are like fucking awesome movies.
Blade set the stage for them making all these other movies. X-Men, Spider-Man, Avengers, all that would not have happened if it wasn't for Blade, and Blade would not have succeeded if it wasn't for Wesley Snipes playing that role so exemplary.
He was absolutely perfect in that, dude.
Exactly. And he, even just that alone, he would make my list, but he did other things as well. And I'm sorry, I have to interject one more time. I know another one that I think is being neglected because of the negative public persona that he has anymore. But man, he deserves to be in that. Do you know who I'm going to say?
Mel Gibson?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah. He would have to be somewhere in there at least. Honorable mention, minimum.
I would definitely honorable mention him because Road Warrior, the second Mad Max film, is one of my favorite movies of all time. Absolutely amazing movie.
Braveheart,
yeah. The Patriot.
Love The Patriot.
The Lethal Weapon movies.
Yeah.
And stuff. I mean, he hasn't done anything in a while other than like Expendables. I think he at least deserves an honorable mention. I get that people think he's a bit of a douche now, and, you know, for a lot of the things he's said and done. And I get that he hasn't done as much lately for a while now to really, but I think credit where it's due, you know.
Yeah, he'd be in my, I don't know, maybe top 10. I don't know. I have to really think about it, but he's an honorable mention at least.
At least, yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah. Now, Vito, you got some other guys that you would mention?
A guy that probably nobody else knows about. Olivier Grunet. He's the French Jean-Claude Van Damme, pretty much.
Is he?
Yeah. And I love this guy. He's in two of my favorite sci-fi action films. One is Nemesis. The other one is Automatic. So the reason I found out about this guy is I used to go to this video store in town called Diaco Video, which is no longer here.
Okay.
And maybe once every 2 weeks I would go and rent Terminator 2 from this place, right?
No way.
And
I
went
would
in
never
there
expect that.
I went in there one time, and this guy, he's like, you know, I see you come in here all the time and you rent this movie. And I was with like my dad or something. He goes, you know what you should do? You should see this movie. And he gave me Nemesis, which is about a cyborg cop that has to fight other cyborg cops. It was like a kind of a Blade Runner story, but he said, you'll like it because there's robots and stuff. So I rented it and I immediately fell in love with it. And this dude is an action star. And I found this video cassette called Automatic and a disc replay that he happened to be in. And it's an incredible fucking film. So he has to be in like, probably top 5 for sure. Just because he was only in maybe, I think, 6 or 7 movies in the early 90s. So he didn't take off at all. So a lot of people don't know who he is. But now he's like a professional bodyguard and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
But good stuff, man. Olivier Grunet.
All right,
I
that's
always
a good
pronounce his
recommendation.
last name
Yeah,
wrong.
I just laugh because when you say he's like the French Jean-Claude Van Damme, I was like, wait a minute, isn't Jean-Claude Van Damme the French Jean-Claude Van Damme? But then you corrected me and said he's Belgian.
Yeah.
Ah, see.
Now he has that French accent because Belgium.
Well, they're real close.
Yeah, but he's the muscles from Brussels. So
That's right. Yeah, I always forget
that's
that.
right, because I got it wrong in one of our trivia tortures, I think.
Oh, that's
Something like that.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
I always thought he was French too, but then the Brussels from muscle or the muscles from
The
Brussels.
Brussels from Muscles.
Now I want muscles.
Now I want Brussels.
Olivier does take his shirt off quite often in his films, Megan. So I'll hook you up.
I'm
with
sorry, what was it called?
Nemesis and Automatic.
And any other ones you can think to mention?
A guy that skirts the line between martial arts star and action star is Michael Dudikoff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, American Ninja. I mean, that's quintessential ninja movie to me, even though they're on the goofier side. Cynthia Rothrock, she's more of in the martial arts, but still an action star. You know?
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of her for this. Yeah, martial arts, absolutely. Yeah, she's a little bit more martial artsy. Another one that, you know, I'm kind of surprised, again, maybe because he didn't do enough, but I'm kind of surprised more people didn't mention Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel, after a while, I think became more well-known for being like almost like in the, like, funnier roles and other roles outside of just being like the tough guy kind of thing.
I guess. I mean, I think people would most know him for the Fast and Furious movies, obviously.
Right.
But he also did like The Pacifier, which was like a funny family comedy thing.
Right.
He did fucking Pitch Black and Chronicles of Riddick,
Right.
which were great, you know.
Right.
That's the first time I saw that guy was in Pitch Black.
And then it kind of all comes around. I mean, so another thing that sort of spurred me on to want to talk about all this stuff was I finally got around, we all did, finally got around to watching the Expendables movies, which are kind of self-parodying because it has everybody in them. Just about every major action star or sidekick or whatever appeared in those 3 movies. And it's got its ups and downs, but I think they're pretty fucking good.
The
I
second
love
one
the first
especially.
2. Yeah, the second one's
I haven't seen the
amazing.
third one yet, but you guys said it wasn't as good as the...
It's worth watching.
Yeah.
Again, it's another one that's like, I'm not saying, oh, don't watch it, it's garbage. It's not garbage. But comparatively, compared to the first 2, not as good.
Doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
Doesn't hold up as well. The second one is fucking amazing.
They nailed it in that one, man.
Absolutely.
Fucking amazing. Getting to see Bruce Willis and Arnold Schwarzenegger like shoot people up next to each other. It's the kind of thing that like you
fantasize as like a kid or
when
something.
you're
Right?
kids, right? When like if the 3 of us were sitting around and we were all like 13 years old, sitting there on a Saturday night eating pizza and drinking Jolt Cola and being like, could you imagine if they made a movie that had Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis and Jean-Claude Van Damme and Chuck Norris and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and be like, that had never happened. And it happened. And you know what?
It's amazing.
It is amazing. If you folks haven't seen the Expendables movies, go watch them. At the very least, watch Expendables 2.
Yeah.
It's so fun. It's so over the top and ridiculous, but it's so fun, man. I loved that second one. I was watching it and messaging Vito and being like, dude, you have to watch this movie.
Yeah, you spend half your time laughing, the other time go, holy shit!
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those movies. I didn't see it. I wish I would have seen it at the theater now.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was watching it at home and literally yelling out, holy fuck, holy shit, whoa, like,
Yeah.
and I don't do that very often at movies, you know. I did that at Terminator the other night.
Dude, that
So again,
good.
coming all back to Terminator Dark
And
Fate.
Jason Statham, to me, like steals the show in those Expendables
Absolutely.
movies.
Oh,
man.
absolutely.
It's so fucking good.
So
His knife throwing stuff is just so good.
Yeah.
Guy comes in with that gun and like
That-
mows everybody down.
Dude.
Oh,
Is it Terry Crews that's in that?
Yeah.
Terry Crews,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, you saw
yeah,
that
fucking
gun.
and there's
Literally.
blowing up, man. Oh my god.
You see him literally cutting people in half with a gun. Just so many bullets, so much power there that people are being cut in half. It's so grim. And generally, I'm not into violence much in movies and stuff. But in movies like this and these action movies, when it's like that and it's so over the top
That's ridiculous. It's like ridiculous territory, you
that
know?
you just laugh at it.
Yeah.
You know, you're just like, oh my god.
It's like a Paul Verhoeven movie or something, like
Right.
Total Recall or Starship Troopers. It's just like
Right.
it's borderline, like not even real that you think, you know,
Right.
even though it's still a movie, but still, it's not something that would probably happen in real life like you'd think it would. You know?
It's so, yeah, exactly. I just can't take it seriously,
Yeah.
so I don't. Yeah, and that's why I can enjoy it. Well, man, this has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed talking about this. You know, it's hard to just generalize this stuff so much, but we thank everybody out there for sending in their votes and
Yes,
everything.
thank you.
Gave us a lot to think about, a lot to talk about. Some that I wouldn't even have thought of bringing up, you know. So that was awesome. Some that I don't understand why you didn't bring it up. You know, but hey, to each their own.
Yeah. And let us know if we did miss anybody. I'm sure there's tons of them out there.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a bunch. Yeah, we'd love to hear more from you guys about this and you know, what you think of the things that we had to say about this. So please comment, please subscribe, share this with people if you think they'd be interested in hearing it. In the meantime, we love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
Adios.